Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lipstick Chat with Ebony Fox. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as these videos are extremely important to many young women in this world. If I recall the last time I did a video, I think I was talking about how did I get here? How did I manage to marry a narcissist and fight through all the things I fought through to get back to where I am today? So I started to look at all the significant relationships in my life, and I last ended with a relationship of which my significant other died. So as I move backwards and look at my life, I'm now looking at the next significant relationship I had, and I remember meeting him at a Halloween party. I was dressed as a French maid in a really short, busty outfit, and he was dressed as Frankenstein. I knew who he was because so many people said that he was a player, but I wasn't looking to meet anybody. I was just having a good time at a Halloween party. As the night went on, he began to try to occupy quite a bit of my time and attention, and I realized that he was flirting with me. I didn't really think that much about it because I didn't have that sort of interest at that time. But by the end of the night, he had given me his phone number and told me to call him. There began the beginning. I guess I was flattered because I felt, and I'm sure so many other young women probably feel this way, I felt like he had chosen me out of all the women there at that party. And we talked a lot, we met up a lot, we dated. We had a very nice relationship, and at some point, he asked me to marry him. Just to make a long story shorter. Well, that everything was great for a while. I remember one day he came home with a black BMW. So this was years ago, so bear with me. And I was really excited because he said he bought it for me. And when I got in the car, uh, this was before cell phones were Bluetooth and you could just use them in your car. There was a phone in this car already. And I thought, what a lucky woman I was. He was an architectural engineer at um, a very prominent firm, and I had a BMW. Well, one day I got in my trusty black BMW and I was driving somewhere, and I decided I would call one of my girlfriends, and I picked up the phone to dial the number. But back then, there was always the last number dialed was still seen on the phone. So when I looked at the phone, it had some woman's name on it and a phone number. So I pressed the dial to redial, and a woman answered the phone, and I quickly hung up. I didn't recognize the number. It was a number I'd never dialed, so I realized that this was a number that he was calling. I called that number a couple more times from, at different points, different days, a week or two later, and the same woman always answered the phone. So I realized that this was someone that he was talking to. This was the beginning of a very interesting marriage. As time went on, we decided that we were living in a house I had purchased and we would sell my house because he wanted to buy a larger house. And we did that and moved to a very prestigious area. Um, Everything was going pretty good. And then one day he told me that he had been invited to a party and that I could not come. Yes, you heard me. He told me that I could not come to the party. Now, this was pretty interesting also. Now, I'm starting to log these things in my mind because if I can't come to the party, there had to be a reason why I couldn't come to the party. And I let him go on his own. And while he was gone, women started calling the house. So I dealt with that to keep this from not being longer than it needs to be. And when he came home, I proceeded to let him have it about women calling the house and me not being able to go to a party and what kind of relationship was this. I went on and on. So time moved on. As an engineer, he traveled for his job. He used to always have a pager back then. He had a cell phone too, but he always had a pager. And so he would always tell me, if you need to contact me, I'm going to Michigan, or I'm going here, I'm going there. If you need to contact me, just page me. This was another one of those things that I thought, this is just too weird. So after a particular trip, he came back home and he was complaining about his eyes itching, his eyes itching. He just kept complaining about his eyes itching. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on with him. So I'm laying in bed with him one night and he's rubbing his eyes. And he told me to look at him, see if I saw anything. And I said, no. So then I got a flashlight and a magnifying glass, because I just really didn't see anything. And when I put the flashlight, he closed his eyelids. And when I put the flashlight on his eyes with the magnifying glass, I saw something moving on his eyes. Yes, people, there was some sort of insect thing moving on his eyes. You will not believe what it was. He had crabs. Yes, he had crabs. Believe you me, I was in a state of panic. I did not want him near me. I had to get some shampoo and like that lice shampoo and wash his eyes, and he had to go to the eye doctor the next day. And when I began to question him about how did this happen, you are not going to believe the story this man told me. He told me he got it from the sheets in the hotel that he was staying in when he went on his business trip. I want you to know that I was over it. I was truly over it all, and I knew that this relationship was going to have to come to an end. So, being the person that I am, I was intent on proving that he was cheating. I didn't want to just accuse him. I wanted to have proof. So I went to, back then, I hate to date myself, but I went to an electronics store and I bought a phone wiretap device. Now, we had a huge home. So I moved from the master bedroom downstairs to another master bedroom, which was downstairs in the basement. The basement was like an in-law suite. So I moved down in the basement and I connected the phone tap device underneath the bed so that whenever he would pick up the phone and dial the phone, it would automatically turn on and record him. And so I would listen to his phone calls with different women, and I would listen to him talk about meeting them. And then wherever he said he would meet them, I would drive there before he was due to arrive and sit in my car and take pictures. Oh, yes. Back in the day, I was ruthless. And I felt like I needed to be ruthless because this man was obviously ruthless with me. Even then, I couldn't figure out how I wound up with this man. And I think that it was all due to, I felt that he had chosen me and that I was special. But I was no more special than anyone else in this world. Eventually, we separated. He filed for divorce because he felt it was important that he filed before I did. I didn't care one way or the other. I just needed out. And so he went on a business trip. And while he was gone, I had hired movers to come and take all the furniture and things that I wanted out of the house and moved into a smaller house in a different neighborhood. As I look back on my life, I feel like I've always run into these kind of men with a lack of respect, men who potentially had issues in their childhood, men who looked down on women, men who were chauvinists, men who felt that they were smarter than most women. But you know what? Through it all, I have to always remember that I had the option to say no. I had the option to walk away from this relationship. So as we continue to dive back in my past, I think I have to continue to look even further back to see how many times I continued to make the same mistake and to track down why I was always with a narcissist. Please stay tuned. Please come back so that you can hear the continued story. As you will see, there were patterns to all of this. And I think there's patterns for most women. They either come from how we were raised, and the narcissists, well, they themselves come from how they were raised. So tune back in to Ebony Fox with Lipstick Chat. And please don't forget to like and subscribe.